Explained by the Billy Meier contacts. Mysteries, myths, legends, conspiracy theories, historical inaccuracies, and more. Compiled by David Chance, revised October 18, 2023.
Judas Iscariot, Pharisee's son, vs. Judas Iscariot, Emmanuel's follower. See also Talmud. Emmanuel. Note: the spellings of the names of both men vary slightly in the German language contact reports. Judas Iscariot is sometimes spelled Judas or Judah, Ihariot or Iscariot. The correct spelling is indicated in the Talmud. Emmanuel. In the earlier contact reports up through 238, Judas Iscariot is spelled Judas Iscariot. Billy clarifies the correct spelling in Contact Report 703. Ask Its Explanations Part 6.
Among my followers, I have a literate man named Judas Iscariot. Actually, image 1, image 2, image 3, image 4Rs, who writes down the most important parts of the teaching and events. Already the texts are being sought now in order to destroy them and to use them as indictments against me. One scroll has already been stolen from the writer and kept closed by the Pharisees and the scribes. Judas Iscariot, a son of a Pharisee, secretly took it out of Judas Iscariot's bag in order to sell it to my persecutors for 70 pieces of silver, in order, thereby, to be able to charge me with blasphemy against God. But Judas Iscariot has been ordered by me to write the text once again, and now to keep it quite safe, whereby its purpose will outlast the ages.
You speak of Judas Iscariot, who is supposed to be your betrayer, as the texts of my time still convey, nonetheless falsified.
Truly I speak of him. But he will in no way be the guilty one. He who will hand me over to the persecutors is the same one who stole the texts and sold them.
Therefore, Judas Iscariot?
So is it. But his father will spread the lie that Judas Iscariot is the betrayer, because the Pharisee name Ihariot must not be soiled. But the reason is also based on the fact that the priests, scribes, and Pharisees and their followers can say, "Behold, one from his own ranks has betrayed him and handed him over to a death on the cross. Behold, behold, how can his teaching be truth if his own people betray him and sell him?"
So that is the way it is. Now I understand quite a bit more. But now I ask myself, who then really hanged himself in Potter's Field? Respectively, who will hang himself there in the coming time?
Judas Iscariot.
Contact Report 150.
Emmanuel's traitor, who was not a disciple, as Judas Iscariot. Emmanuel's disciple Judas Iscariot was made out to be a traitor to this day, while the true traitor, the high priest's son Judas Iscariot, is not even mentioned in the lying chronicles, so that the true traitor should be innocent of the murder of Emmanuel.
Contact Report 207.
Initially, it was only Judas Iscariot who could read and write. But to my knowledge, he also instructed all the other disciples in this art, which was not very popular at that time.
That is of correctness. Besides Judas Iscariot, all the other disciples were illiterates, who learned partially how to read in a short time by Judas, but not how to write.
Contact Report 212.
It should be noted that out of Emmanuel's disciples, only Judas Iscariot was actually acquainted with reading and writing, for he was, which no one knew, and therefore which also was not handed down, a scribe, who left his profession, however, and became a follower of Emmanuel.
Contact Report 224.
Among all the disciples, only Judas Iscariot was knowledgeable of reading and writing, in addition to Emmanuel himself, who was not a disciple but was rather the teacher.
Contact Report 238.
Could you perhaps tell me something else why Judas Iscariot is still regarded worldwide as a traitor to Emmanuel, although you actually said that Judas would be redeemed around the year 1976?
With the first spreading of the Talmud Emmanuel by you, the redemption of Judas Iscariot has already begun, worldwide. It will not fail. However, that other human beings will also be seized by this fact, whereby the truth that Judas Iscariot was not the traitor, but another, namely a Pharisee's son with the similar name Judas Iscariot, will also be spread elsewhere.
Contact Report 504.
He, Isa Rashid, also omitted the fact that the father of the traitor Judas Iscariot, the Pharisee Simeon Iscariot, had written a diatribe in the name of Judas Iscariot, accusing him and Emmanuel that they themselves had caused the betrayal. And he equally concealed the fact that the same Pharisee Simeon Iscariot, together with a scribe, had also written a false gospel in the name of Judas Iscariot.
Contact Report 506.
What I think is amazing is that Isa Rashid has also given the wrong name to the Talmud writer. He simply used the name Judas Iscariot from the New Testament, instead of the correct name Judas Iscariot.
Contact Report 610.
Judas Iscariot, who recorded everything faithfully and unadulterated.
Contact Report 662.
Paul himself was just as ignorant of reading and writing as all the others who went with Emmanuel, except for the disciple Judas Iscariot, who made written records and to whom the Talmud Emmanuel leads back.
Contact Report 703.
But now I would like to talk a little bit in detail and openly about how basically the so-called holy books came into being with regard to Christianity and Islam. Because the truth is that neither Emmanuel alias Jesus nor Muhammad themselves made any written records of the teachings of the prophets. Only Emmanuel's disciple Judas Iscariot, not Judas Iscariot or Iscariot, knew the scriptures, while all the other disciples, contrary to all the conventional lies and claims, were just as ignorant of the scriptures as the followers around Muhammad.
Contact Report 706.
And that this true teaching was not written down by the old prophets themselves was because they had no means to do so, which was also the case with the last two prophets. Also, these two taught only orally, and their disciples were ignorant of reading and writing, with one exception, for with the messenger Emmanuel there was a scribe named Judas Iscariot, who, however, recorded more incidents than values of the teaching.
Contact Report 710.
Then another thing. In the Talmud, 30th chapter, sentence 96, it is written, "And it came to pass that a soldier took his lance and thrust it into Emmanuel's loins, that he might see that he was dead." There was also a clerical error made by Judas Iscariot, who had made the records, because he used the term loin, although it was actually on the right side of the abdomen or belly between the ribcage and pelvis.
Contact Report 714 Quetzal Pleiadian Pleiran Contact Reports. Volume 5, page 185, 212th Contact, Thursday, the 6th of November, 1986. It is to be noted that of Emmanuel's disciples only Judas Iscariot core. Correct. Iscariot really knew how to read and write, for he was what nobody knew and therefore was not handed down the scribe who, however, reneged on his profession and became a follower of Emmanuel. Contact Report 721.
In Emmanuel's case, only Judas Iscariot was well versed in writing. However, neither any female nor male member of his discipleship, which included more persons than just the 12 listed in the New Testament, which is full of inventions, falsifications, wrong commemorative claims, interpretations, and lies. Judas Iscariot was the only one amongst all who correctly and truthfully mastered the script, and who was well versed in writing and a disciple close to Emmanuel. Later he was slandered by falsifiers of writings and by hangers-on, just as the name of Jesus was then also imputed to Emmanuel. So it must repeatedly be made clear that everything was the same with Muhammad and Emmanuel. Although concerning Emmanuel, it was Judas Iscariot who was well versed in script writing and written language and who made the Chronicles, from which the Talmud then arose through your and the group members' efforts, which in the end had to be correctly translated and revised by our script and language experts, specialists, because the priest Isa Rashid had translated it wrongly according to his Christian deluded belief.